Let's talk a little bit about adult development. I believe that there's going to be a lot more components within the organizational structure to allow for that, especially for the developmental listening, the awareness of strengths and weaknesses. And for that, Dr. Marsick, your thoughts?
I think it relates a little bit to this whole question of the whole person and also the person's environment. We know Kurt Lewin, who was a famous person in the organizational world, said a person's behavior is always a function of the interaction of the person and the environment.
That's right.
And the environments have changed in our organizations. So I've gotten very interested in this notion. We hear these colors thrown around with organizations, for example. A highly developmental organization apparently is supposed to be teal. I don't know why they chose teal, right? But this gentleman, Lelou, who's written about this, it has caught on in the sense of the idea is that our environments have gotten more complex. Mm-hmm. And our work and our organizations have really changed. So we're no longer places where standardization is the requirement. In the industrial era, we tried to get everybody to do things by the book and to get exactly the same thing pressed out. As we move into new eras where different kinds of things are emphasized, work is now different. It's decentralized. And at one extreme, there are these self-managing organizations where in fact, it isn't how do you get the right skills to fit into what the organization wants. It's how do I get the right people who can help our organization move in the direction we want because they can participate in what that means. And so I think you have this range, and somewhere along the line, you have the shift from completely command and control organizations to organizations where there's more scope for growth. And so when environments get more complex, we know this, then people begin to develop more. And so I think the question of how do you help people to develop depends a good deal on where they are in this continuum of growth and how they get there. And just one example, because Jack, I liked in particular your point about feedback, because we know that the most important thing in learning and development and growth is feedback. And we know we're all rotten at doing it and that nobody gets it right and everybody fears getting it and giving it. So one of the things we've learned from adult development is that you really kind of have to consider where people are developmentally, because no matter what you are saying in your feedback, people are hearing something depending on how they take in information. My colleague, Ellie Drago-Severson, has written a book called Tell Me So I Can Hear You. And it really does depend on, are people thinking in terms of still standardization and what the rule is here, and you should talk to me about the rule and how I'm going to get there? Or are they more concerned about several different people they're working with and how they think of them and what other people think of what they're going to do? Are they more social organization? Are they more very self-authorizing and being able to work within a system? But for example, at my institution, which is an institution of higher education, we have a lot of self-authorizing individuals, you can imagine. Right. And they don't want to hear it. Whenever anything is said, my system doesn't allow that to come in. And so we're fighting dueling systems. Or have we gotten beyond that? And I think that's where people are trying to go with some of this vertical growth, is we need to be able to work more with complex environments where in fact there is no certainty, where it truly is unpredictable. And for that, you need more complex thinkers. And so to do that, I think we have to work with the supervisors and the managers, because people learn from their supervisors and managers. And if the supervisors and managers aren't able to respond in developmentally appropriate ways, they won't either. So that's my thought about it.
I agree with you. And I started to think about the structures, and we've had structures that it might be legacy, and they've been there for quite some time.